It looks like a tariff on solar panels, but open the document, and 300mm semiconductor wafers are on the list too. The way I read it, this announcement is America's opening move in a long game, pulling the entire silicon foundation of industry back home. The number matters less than the design behind it. Welcome to Semiconductor News Decoded. I'm Ty, with 31 years inside the semiconductor industry, bringing you the real view from the factory floor. Today, the 15% additional tariff the United States just announced on polysilicon and its derivative products. By the end, you'll understand why a solar tariff is really a semiconductor story and what Washington is actually trying to protect. Here's today's news in one picture. Imagine a small town ringed by rice paddies. The farmers there grow ordinary, everyday rice in large volumes. And tucked into one corner sits a tiny patch of sake rice, the rare, hand-selected grain behind a legendary brew. We'll lean on this town all the way through the opening section. Then, cheap rice starts pouring in from overseas. On price, the local farmers cannot compete. One by one, they give up their paddies. A town once famous for its rice looks up one day and finds almost no paddies left. And what's lost isn't just the everyday rice. Sake rice takes enormous care and yields very little, so on its own, it can never support a farming household. It only grows on top of a foundation the ordinary crop maintains: the irrigation channels, the machinery, the human skill. If the paddies vanish from the town, that tiny patch of sake rice vanishes with them. So the town makes a bold move. It sets a floor price on imported rice, and if anyone sells below it, the town collects the difference. Stop the race to the bottom and win the paddies back. And the real prize, sitting on top of that foundation, is the handful of sake rice fields. From here, let me walk you through what this actually looks like in the real semiconductor industry. President Trump announced a national security action on imports of polysilicon and its derivative products under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. Derivative products face an additional 15% tariff, effective December 4, 2026. Polysilicon is best known as the raw material for solar cells, but the high-purity grade is also essential to semiconductor manufacturing. That this came through the national security framework rather than an ordinary trade measure tells you how heavy it is. The centerpiece is a minimum import price, or MIP. Polysilicon, $21 per kilogram. Ingots and wafers, $100 per kilogram. Solar cells, 22 cents per watt. Modules, 38 cents. Import below those levels, and the gap itself is charged as tariff. Bring in a product priced at $100 for $80, and $20 is added straight back on. The design makes dumping itself impossible. The Commerce Department also gains authority to build incentive programs for companies manufacturing these products inside the United States, a price floor to defend against imports, and money to grow production at home. Defense and offense packaged into a single policy. Washington frames this not as a solar policy, but as a way to secure the supply chain for critical industries, including semiconductors and AI. So from the very beginning, this was designed with a reach far wider than solar. Solar is the entry point, not the destination. Most coverage called it a solar panel tariff, and honestly, that's how I read it at first too. But dig into the annex of the proclamation, and doped circular single-crystal silicon wafers are right there on the list. The tariff classification notes spell it out as wafers for semiconductor manufacturing, conforming to semi-standards. So the 300mm semiconductor wafer itself is directly covered by this measure. The numbers, though, tell you where the pressure really sits. Convert that $100 per kilogram wafer floor to a 300mm wafer, 775 micrometers thick, and you get about $13 a piece. Market price is around $100. As a floor, that is set very low, nothing that stops imports today. For solar, meanwhile, the floor sits more than 9 times above market. So the live ammunition, the minimum price, is clearly aimed at solar. That doesn't mean semiconductor wafers walk away untouched. What's dormant for them is only the price floor, The 15% tariff lands on them just fine. A price wall for solar, a tariff for semiconductors. Two weapons fired separately inside the same proclamation. So why aim at solar? This is the heart of it. Of all the polysilicon produced worldwide, semiconductor grade is only 2.4%. In volume, a bit player. In purity, the lead. The high-volume solar business is what keeps the plants running, and only then does that sliver of ultra-high purity grade become viable. Exactly the everyday rice paddy holding up the sake rice. In fact, the U.S. share of global polysilicon capacity fell from roughly 50% in 2005 to under 2% by 2024. But that figure includes solar. Limit it to semiconductor grade, and two companies, one American and one German, hold about 3/4 of the world. The lead in purity still sits in the West. What was lost is the foundation of volume, the everyday rice paddy. The way I read it, the goal here isn't tariff revenue. By guaranteeing a price floor, it creates the precondition for investment. Build a plant at home and you won't be crushed in a price war. A fab isn't finished when it's built. It's an investment recovered over many years. So whether the risk of a future price collapse disappears changes the decision enormously. The floor plus incentives is how you create that environment. Section 10 of the proclamation goes further. If a trading partner adopts a minimum import price equivalent to America's, the measure toward that country can be modified. So this price wall may not end at one country. It can spread to allies. The more countries adopt the same rule, the more a global floor forms under the price of silicon. I sense an intent here that goes beyond import restriction, exporting the system itself. Japan isn't a bystander. For Japanese goods, the rate is set so that combined with existing tariffs, it comes to 15%. And America's only polysilicon maker, Hemlock Semiconductor in Michigan, is a joint venture roughly 80% owned by Corning and 20% by Shin-Etsu Handotai. Shin-Etsu Handotai also runs wafer plants inside the United States, a footing that's protected at home and exports from Japan that fall under the measure, both sides living inside the same company. The era of, if it's cheap, it doesn't matter where it was made, is ending. Not just equipment and design. Who holds the material foundation at home now translates directly into security. For Japan, a country that built its strength in materials over decades, this should be a reason to look hard at its own position. I see this proclamation as one snapshot of that shift. To sum up, the United States is imposing a 15% additional tariff and a minimum import price on polysilicon and derivative products, effective December 4th. 300mm semiconductor wafers take the 15%, while the live round, the price floor, is aimed at solar. The aim is to rebuild the volume base that supports just 2.4% of semiconductor grade. Watch Section 10 and its spread to allies. That's all for today. I'll keep bringing you semiconductor news and analysis, so if you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been Ty on Semiconductor News Decoded.